In 2018, a popular manga that was sort of hidden in obscurity, at least to fans in the West, was dropped in the laps of a lot of unsuspecting anime watchers. This show tore apart a community and continues to this day to break hearts, and destroy those brave enough to watch it. The show I'm talking about is Banana Fish, and if you've never heard of it before, I almost envy you. I also implore you to turn off this podcast. As much as I would like you to stay, I will be spoiling chunks of the show, and it's best if you've been planning to watch it to just sit down and do it and not have any spoilers going in. I do want to give a hefty trigger warning to the show, though. It deals with topics in the vein of past sexual trauma. If you're okay with that, I promise it'll be worth the hollow feeling in the pit of your stomach. Banana Fish started its life as a monthly manga in 1985 in the magazine Bestatsu Shoujo Manga by Shogakukan, written and illustrated by Akami Yoshida, and was serialized until 1994 before making its way on the shelves as its own full set of volumes. Akami Yoshida really blew everyone out of the water with this one, making such a universal story that to this day just about everyone can agree is a work of art, and just about everyone in Japan can admit to reading and enjoying Banana Fish, though originally it sold as a shoujo manga for girls. The action, crime, and heavy topics made it a popular read for the male market as well. And you know when I say heavy topics, I mean heavy topics. I put a hefty trigger warning, again, before you watch this if you've been thinking about watching it. The story of Banana Fish does not even start as all peaches and cream. We see death and street crime right off the bat, which is a main story focus. Ash Lynx, our main male lead, number one, is a gang leader. There's no shortage of blood and death in gang fights with guns and knives. I'm still kind of shocked this was marketed as a shoujo manga in the first place. I guess it was mostly due to the art style. Fun facts, Ash Lynx design is based on Stefan Edberg and River Phoenix, while his partner in crime and life, Eiji Okumura, is based on actor Hironobu Nomura. The hardest part of this story that remains as a gray, controversial area is the reference to rape, male prostitution, and even pedophilia. Banana Fish really shows the evil of New York of the time and issues that are still active today but not really talked about, of rich, old men in power taking advantage of children who society doesn't really want to acknowledge. Street kids who no one would really notice if they go missing, or who no one would believe if they escaped. The whole show, I stress, the whole show is Ash escaping from under the thumb of his rapist, who held him captive for years. The whole time this man, Dino, telling Ash he made him something. Tooth and nail, Ash fights to prove that he's wrong, that Ash is in fact better and free and he made himself. Though in some respects, he can never really escape his past, and that's where our second male lead comes in. You heard me right, 2 male leads. Yoshida was ahead of her time, honestly. The story is not explicit with its love plot, not like a lot of boy love manga seems to be. There was no large, flowery kissing scene or cuddling. I think somehow that made it more painful, seeing these 2 young adult men go through so much. They never got a break to really explore their feelings, and I think that's why they ramp up so rapidly. There's also no explicit I love you scene in Banana Fish. It's all between the lines, but it will slap you in the face if you're looking for it. Banana Fish won the Best Anime at Chill's Boy Love Awards in 2019, and is cited as an influential boy love source, which is really kind of funny because Banana Fish could not have come at a better time for itself. The anime was produced for the 40th anniversary of Yoshida's debut, and my god, how perfect. The influential manga to the realm of gay anime was adapted after the biggest spectacle in gay anime just started to die down. By that, I mean Yuri on Ice had aired in 2016 during the fall anime season, and it was everything to the homosexual genre. It told the story of true love that slowly bloomed while 2 slightly broken people helped each other heal, and while healing each other, they fell in love. This was huge for fans of the genre and representation. Yuri on Ice showed the whole shebang. A kiss, rings, marriage. It was everything to the opening of the homosexual genre in the States. After the peak of seeing that homosexual stories didn't have to be over-sexualized or that either man had to be emasculated to tell a compelling story, the genre was blooming with fans hungry for more. Coming to the rescue was Banana Fish, but those who had never read the story were not prepared. Having a real West Side Story feeling to it, the story mostly follows Ash Lynx, a young teenage gangster in New York who knows nothing but hardship his whole life. Then there's his counterpart, Eiji Okumura, the sweetest angel all the way from Japan. Eiji had never seen a gun before meeting Ash, with the strict gun laws in Japan. Eiji had never experienced violence in his life, and Ash picks up on it immediately as the man looks at his gun in such awe. The story of Banana Fish is told in 24 episodes in switching perspectives between Ash and Eiji. We mostly follow Ash's perspective for most of the episodes, but there are times where we get to see Eiji's thoughts, and they always hurt just a little bit extra because of the way Eiji blames himself for literally everything, which is sometimes justified, but a big part of his character is him overcoming feeling sorry for himself and becoming more of a how do I fix this situation now type of person. Let's start with a character breakdown to make the story a little easier to digest as I run through it. Main good guy characters. Ash Lynx, he's our main man. This is his story. The cycle of abuse and his need for freedom and revenge drive the whole plot. This guy takes on the mafia and becomes the most respected boss in New York in the process. He would also literally burn down the city for Eiji, and if that doesn't melt your heart, I don't know what will. Eiji Okumura, he starts off as a soft boy, but has so much obvious growth while the show progresses. It's beautiful, but he never loses his core value. He slowly becomes Ash's crush for the sole purpose of freeing him from himself. For the first time in Ash's life, he helped a man who asked for nothing in return. In fact, Eiji always feels bad about always being rescued and wants nothing more than to help Ash when he can barely shoot a gun. Next up, Shorter Wong, literally my favorite character. I love him so much. He wasn't in the show a ton, actually, but boy, is he in every promotional piece of art for the show you could think of. His design is so fun, he's such a fashion disaster. He's also the boss of Chinatown, which during the time the original story was written is a big theme for a lot of the Chinese American characters, and that's their solidarity through race. It becomes an issue later for Shorter to choose his best friend Ash or his own people, and it puts a lot of strain on his character. Max Lobo, the dad character that lets them all shoot guns and gets into fistfights himself. He's actually a reporter who has a lot of contacts and is able to help Ash and Eiji as the adult in all the situations. Honestly, the worst adult supervision you could ask for, but his heart is in the right place, and I really liked his character. He makes a lot of off-the-cuff, nearing sexual jokes towards Ash, which rubbed me the wrong way at first, but the more I thought about it, I think it was his way of saying, hey, this can be normalized for you again to joke about dude to dude. Max makes a very big decision to burn Ash's old sexual blackmail photos, saying that wasn't Ash anymore. He had to take control to move forward. Lastly on this list, I'll put eBay. He literally shows up, says, here's Eiji, loses Eiji, disappears for most of the second act, shows up with Max once. eBay was Eiji's vehicle into the story, as Eiji is eBay's apprentice, and they traveled to America to take photos and do interviews on gang life. Next on our list, we have the main villains, Big Bad Golzine. He's trash, pure evil, the man who tortured Ash repeatedly until Ash escaped. He thinks he made Ash the man he has become and is grossly obsessed with Ash, going as far as to force Ash to be his successor to the Mafia by making him his son. The child that he raped, Golzine wanted to adopt him. The worst villain in anime history, probably. Arthur, he is alluded to in the beginning of the show as the man who had his fingers cut and badly injured by Ash during a brawl. Arthur wanted to run the gangs himself, having his own splintered faction, but wanted what Ash had. Arthur's character design is actually the polar opposite of Ash's, which was a great choice. Arthur is skin and bones with blonde hair that sticks up wildly, and unlike Ash, Arthur's so hungry for power he joins Golzine and the Mafia blindly to get rid of Ash and to take his place at the higher table. Arthur thinks he's living in Ash's shadow and wants out, but really Ash doesn't even want to cast a shadow. He never wanted to be a boss. Lastly, for the main villains, I'll add Li Yutlong. He's really a tragic villain. He was set up for an anger-fueled meltdown from the start. God, I really feel bad for him. He's so soft and holds this anger inside until he meets Ash. He sees Ash as the strong man who doesn't let the world hold him down or look back no matter how much it hurts. They went through something very similar, and Ash somehow came out stronger for it, while Yutlong dwells on it and still hurts. Yutlong takes this the wrong way and decides to no longer look back, but instead he kills his brothers to take over Chinatown and creates a partnership with Golzine. The real kicker is he wants Edgy dead. You may ask why? Because he's jealous of what Edgy is, Ash's freedom. Ash's reminder that he can be loved no matter how much blood is on his hands or what he went through. Ash would do anything for Edgy to keep him safe, and that shatters Yutlong's opinion of Ash. How could the man as he saw as being so strong have such a weakness as love and affection and a person? Yutlong doesn't think he'll ever find his own salvation or love. He dwells in the past, waiting for it to swallow him up and kill him. That's why he wants Edgy dead, because he can't have what Ash has. Some honorable mentions in the Allied department are Kane, the gang boss of Brooklyn. He's a great strong character who rides with Ash till the end. He never really questions Ash's authority and respects Ash for giving him respect. Kane is just a really good guy. He's mostly around in the second half, and he busts heads to get things done in his city. Sing, in part 2, he becomes the new boss of the Chinese gang and really doesn't even want it. He follows Ash to the ends of the earth and really looks up to him to show him how to be a good leader, because he doesn't want to let his men down. His brothers killed his mother when he was a child, and he witnessed the whole thing. They then forced him to be an assassin and bargaining chip to put to use for his good look. The story starts with a kidnapping, and that's a big first arc trend for Edgy, being kidnapped and wrapped up in gang activity he shouldn't have been because of Ash. He's picked up during a gang raid in the bar Ash's people frequent, while they're to take photos and interview the members for their article. There's a member, Skip, who is literally just a child that gets taken to Arthur's hideout with Edgy. Ash finds them, and we get a glimpse of Edgy wanting to measure up to Ash in the first episode, as Edgy vaults over a tall wall. Ash takes it in as the most amazing thing he's seen. The pole vaulting scene is really the point where you go, oh yeah, this is a romance anime deep down. Remember, spoilers ahead, we get the second feel for how this anime is gonna play out when Skip, again, the child character we've known for 2 episodes that the whole crew loves and you will love, is shot dead in front of Ash. Ash is then framed for the murder and goes to prison, leaving Edgy to find a way to help him from the outside. This means finding Shorter, and the duo accidentally learns about banana fish, a drug that is being experimented and developed by Golzine for an unknown reason at the time. When they learn about banana fish, Arthur shows up to kidnap Edgy, already knowing that somehow it would hurt Ash for Edgy to go through the same thing as Ash. Arthur fails, and Ash gets out of prison and into custody of Ebe. Immediately, Ash runs away with Edgy by his side. Working with Shorter, the trio decide they're going to kill Golzine and stop banana fish from being developed, because whatever it is, it's bad news, basically eating people's brains from what they saw. They fail, not totally miserably, but Edgy is almost taken, which causes Shorter to jump to his rescue. This is also the first time Edgy holds a gun, and you can see it in his eyes just how uncomfortable he is as he closes them to shoot someone basically point blank, and you knew he was still gonna miss. At this point, Max and eBay catch up, and the hunt for more banana fish information is on, so they take the lead from Max and go to California by truck. I was hoping for some fun road trip shenanigans, but it wasn't really a fun road trip. There were definitely moments, but The show's short, they couldn't shove all of that extra that might be in the manga. That's the thing though, Banana Fish is tricky. It can play itself off as a comedy when the characters aren't having bullets hurled their way. All of the reactions are very natural and fun. Just like the characters, when Edgy and Ash would tease each other, I would forget about the danger and feel like this is it. The anime is gonna turn and we'll get that goofy anime for an episode or two. But it never lasts that long. The severity of the situation is heavy and always looming on the group. At the drop of the hat, things return to being serious, and I wish more than anything that it would go back. After getting to their location in Los Angeles, the house of the scientist who made Banana Fish, they meet Ute Lung, but they don't realize it. He's pretending to be the son of the missing doctor. Here, Ash goes through the doctor's things and learns a lot about Banana Fish, and Shorter is thrown into conflict without anyone knowing. Shorter is asked to betray his best friend, or his people, which will put his sister in danger. Shorter agrees to kidnap Edgy, but won't leave his side and promises to protect him even in the enemy hands. Edgy's taken to Golzine, who has some terrible things planned, and honestly, this is where I stopped watching in 2018. Shorter is given the Banana Fish drug, which is basically bad LSD. The user always gets it bad. And during this bad trip, they can be coerced and basically mind-controlled into thinking it'll go away if they kill a certain person. Shorter is told to kill Edgy. They're both given knives, and of course, Edgy tries to solve it with words, while Shorter is literally trying to kill them. This happens in front of Ash, and Ash is forced to kill Shorter in order to save Edgy. This happens in episode 9. We didn't see much of Shorter until maybe episode 5. So I don't understand why I fell that much in love with a character we didn't even really see or personally get to know. Well, that's the thing. Yoshida is really good at showing, but not directly telling. There were signs of Shorter everywhere. Promotional items, intros, outros. The three were shown as really good friends through the show, but not on screen spoon-fed to us. We watched them naturally develop through subtext. We were reminded there were dead times that we didn't get to see. That's how a lot of Ash and Edgy's relationship is given to us as well. Soft scenes with golden lighting. We never saw them confiding in one another on rooftops, but we get to see it as an overlay to other scenes, and they always send chills down my spine. Whenever there's a scene with soft lighting in Banana Fish, I know something important is happening, I know characters are developing, and I know that it's going to hurt. That's the magic, though, about Edgy and Ash. There's never an explicit I love you. It's I'll never leave your side, even when the world turns on you. It's a gentle hug in the middle of the night when one is crying, mostly Ash, who has never known comfort before Edgy, but lets him through all of his barriers. God, Edgy gets this look on his face in some scenes where you know he knows Ash is lying to him. It's a solid, expressionless face, but you've seen it before. You've done it before. You know. That's what makes Banana Fish hurt as much as it does. It feels so real, down to the facial expressions. I've seen so many people say Banana Fish makes them feel a certain way they haven't before, and it's all Yoshida's doing. Her story is so real. You root for these boys till the very last second. When Edgy invites Ash to return to Japan with him so he can take him away from New York and all of the hurt, Ash doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe he'll live long enough at this point in the story to go to Japan with Edgy. It isn't until Edgy sits down with Ash to teach him Japanese phrases, telling Ash where they'll go and what they'll see, that Ash sees the light at the end of his road. This is where the story spirals, and my god, I got goosebumps when Edgy was shot protecting Ash. Like, Ash lets his guard down, and Edgy caught the assailant, causing him to get shot in the gut. The scream that the voice actor did for Ash was haunting. I can still hear it in the back of my mind. I hear it used on TikTok, and it breaks my heart every single time. The voice actors for this show, phenomenal. From this point, Ash is on a full rampage, intent on killing Dino and, like, anyone else. It was some of Singh's guys who did it for revenge for Shorter, though not under Singh's order, but Yu Long. After Shorter's death, I didn't cry much more until the last 2 episodes. The last time Edgy and Ash see each other is in the hospital. Ash comes to visit, but is hiding from the police. When they show up to check on Edgy, Edgy tackles them and tells Ash to run. The thing is, they didn't even want to arrest Ash. Thanks to Max, Golzine was exposed and Banana Fish was out. And so was the history of abuse that Golzine was a part of. Ash is officially a victim, not a criminal. And it haunts me to this very second that instead of their last time being slowly reaching for each other and then having been torn apart, they could have spent that night together. They could have been together. Ash could have gone back to the hospital after defeating Golzine. The story could have played out way different. I'm just saying, that haunts me. Wrapping up the story, Golzine is killed, but on his own terms, which is sort of a big fuck you to Ash that his prodigy couldn't take his proper revenge. And now we get to the heart-stopping last 3 minutes that you've heard about. You know they're coming going into the show. Edgy's in the airport hoping Ash will see him off. He actually sends Sing with a note. The note is long and heartfelt and contains a ticket to Japan. Edgy wasn't joking. He was going to take Ash with him. Ash runs and takes off full sprint to the airport to go. He's going to Japan. When out of left field, with his guard down, Ash is stabbed in the stomach by one of Sing's subordinates who never forgave Ash for Shorter's death. It was actually Lau, who is Sing's half-brother, and I really wondered what happened after this, because Sing would be pissed. He loved Ash, and to find out that his half-brother would have murdered him and hurt Edgy, I really wonder if Lau got to live. This literally happens within the last minute. Ash Lynx dies silently and alone, clutching the letter from his lover. It feels so out of left field. So, what happened? Why would Yoshida kill the character she spent so much time creating and growing? A survivor who was about to turn their life around. Well, that wasn't the original ending. Originally, and there is a drawing of this that you can find, Ash was supposed to meet Edgy at the airport and they were supposed to leave together. The year, though, was 1995. Homosexuality wasn't as celebrated, and the publishers were sure that the manga would not sell well with a happy ending that had two gay men living their lives together. So, unfortunately, she had to participate in Kill Your Gays. Knowing this isn't how it was supposed to go really makes me want a rewrite or a switcheroo to be pulled now to kind of rewrite the story and give it the original ending it deserves. It's not the first time she would have pulled that switcheroo. Halfway through the story, Edgy thinks Ash is dead, but it turns out that he is alive, which kind of fucks him up later, because in the Garden of Light, he keeps looking for Ash, hoping that he is alive, which is a whole other thing. And I know a lot of fans feel the same way. They want them to be together, and a lot pretend the ending didn't even happen. As beautiful as their story was, to watch love evolve in the most delicate way, it didn't deserve the ending it got. Ash won. He beat all of the odds. The whole show, everyone was saying how weird it was Ash wouldn't die and he was too strong to be a normal human. And then a knife to the gut ended it all. It felt like a slap in the face. That Edgy and Ash fought so hard to beat their demons and survive for each other for nothing. I would do anything for an ending tweak, honestly. Banana Fish's story doesn't necessarily end here. As I mentioned before, Yoshida wrote spin-off series after this, including Garden of Light, probably the most famous one, being the tale of 7 years after Banana Fish. Ibe's niece stays with Edgy, who actually moved permanently to New York after and lives with Sing. Edgy's a photographer and is getting ready for an art display, which is what Ibe's niece went to see. She hears the story of Ash, and we learn how Edgy's still coping with everything. Not well. He's actually hidden all pictures of Ash and he is literally looking for Ash out in the street. He hasn't even fallen in love again after Ash. He doesn't believe that he can. In the end, Edgy's gallery photo is of Ash as beautiful as an angel, sitting at the windowsill with the light streaming in on his face. Angel Eyes is a prequel with Ash meeting Shorter. I would love to read that one. Private Opinion is about how Ash and Blanca met. A novel titled The Memoirs of Max Lobo, another one I would love to read, is the telling of Banana Fish from Max's perspective. God, I would love to be inside Max's head. Next to Ash, Edgy, and Shorter, he was the next most interesting character. Lastly, Flyboy in the Sky, which is how eBay and Edgy met. It's obvious that Yoshida loved Ash as a character and the universe she created as a whole. And I wish she didn't have to kill Ash off like that and could have expanded this universe even further, because I could get lost in it for hours. A lot of people have gotten lost in it for hours dissecting it from what I've seen. Banana Fish was as gut-wrenching as it was beautifully done. The soundtrack, oh man, the studio knew what they were doing. I have listened to it all day while writing this to feel my feelings. If you have the heart for it, I recommend Banana Fish. I know I spoiled it, but I promise knowing the ending will not make it hurt any less. I literally took a 2-year break. I knew it was gonna happen, and I still curled up in a ball to cry after watching it. You never know how you're gonna feel until you see it happen. This has been a review of Banana Fish on Coffin Call. Thank you for listening. I hope you're looking forward to the next episode. If you want to find me on socials, you can find me on Instagram, coffin.call, or coffincandy_cause. Until next time, sayonara.